not know. When you think of Mary in Vancouver, what do you think? You think of the Power Crown, you think of the Supermom, and you think of the Poker Ace.
Absolutely.
And in all those cases, I would say that those kind of came as a surprise to us. It's not what we kind of expected Mary would the path she would take or where she would end up.
That's true.
Yeah, so, you know, when last night I discovered that lots of Mary's friends didn't realize that when she was in university, she didn't do any of the typical pre-law kind of courses. She took, one philosophy course, which I can't believe she got an A in. And no political science, I think.
Conflicted with the pub night.
Yeah, and she was a film major. And I think, in a way, the reason she majored in film is that her true passion, television, didn't yet have a major. But when we were kids, Mary was the TV addict. So from the soap operas, she was like Another World was her classic soap opera. All the sitcoms, all the dramas. She used to make me watch solely because she knew I hated it. The show One Day at a Time.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
But Mary,
I think I made you watch Wheel of Fortune too.
Yeah, I didn't mind that so much. But Mary, I don't think once, ever, uttered the words, I'd like to go to law school, or I could be a lawyer when I grow up. That was not really part of the narrative.
That's true.
But she was always a performer. So when we were kids, she would organize all the neighborhood kids, and we would do little shows in the garage and so on. And then in summer camp, she was Nancy and Oliver. And then when she got to Trinity, she was very involved in the Trinity College Dramatic Society, TCDS as it's called. She was a major impresario there and directed and starred and so on.
Wow.
Yeah. That's tough. And so when she got to the world of law, it doesn't surprise me that she's such a great performer in front of all the big courts, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court of Canada, and so on. So that was one surprise, the law career. Second surprise, Supermom.
Well, you can weigh on
now
that.
you should take notes.
So Mary, as those of you who saw her high school yearbook picture on the wall yesterday, she was a bit too cool for school. I remember when she was at university, she came home with some of her friends from Trinity, all in their black leggings and.
Mom and Dad still talk about the day I brought home all my friends to have dinner in their underwear.
Yeah.
They still call it that because it was the 80s. Everybody wore tights.
Yes, Mary was the new wave.
Your friends showed up wearing underwear.
New wave, too cool for school. And then when Liz, my sister Liz, who's 4 years older than Mary, 5 years older than me, she and Mary were pregnant with their first children at the same time. And Liz and Mary have always been a bit opposites. Mary hated being pregnant and hated being home on mat leave. Couldn't wait to get back to work. And Liz loved being pregnant and loved being on mat leave. She extended it. And,
Will had nothing to do with
No,
but
I hated being pregnant too.
that was the next thing I was going to say. But then Will came along, and that really changed everything. And I think Mary really recognized how important family was once Will was here, and with the Essen family here, Catherine and your parents and Dave. It's really been a wonderful thing for this family here. And one other thing about Mary that I think surprised us growing up, because she wasn't necessarily going to be the one who you'd sort of said, oh, she's the one who's going to make sure that everyone stays in touch with one another. But Mary is. So we have some cousins who live in British Columbia. Mary gets them together all the time. But do they ever return the favor?
Yeah.
No.
They weren't invited.
Recording done. We're recording over here.
And she goes to Ottawa to do a Supreme Court case. She always sees our Ottawa cousins. She makes a point of coming to the cottage in Ontario when the whole family, all the different cousins all have cottages on the same lake, and we sometimes rent a cottage together. And Mary's always makes a point of coming there and really, I think, celebrates family, and that's really wonderful. The third thing you would never have guessed that Mary would grow up to be would be a poker ace. So our family always played lots of cards. I think most of you have met my parents. My parents have been card players, our whole lives. When we were kids, it was bridge that was the main game of choice. So Mary never bothered to learn bridge, I don't think.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Really?
Apparently it wasn't memorable.
No. Liz and I were the ones who
it's true,
tended
you
to play
did.
much more bridge with Mom and
'Cause you
Dad when we got to the
excluded
point.
me. That's right.
And we had when we went up to our farm that we had, my parents had a farm north of Toronto, we'd spend weekends often, and Hearts was the game we'd play. We'd have the family game of Hearts every weekend. And so Mary, if she ever got the Queen of Spades, would throw the cards into the room and storm into her bedroom.
That is true.
In disgust. So
But did it
that,
work? You guys stopped giving me the black fish. It's true, right?
so maybe that was just her early strategy as of bluffing. So I have 50 years of material, a little less than that, I guess. But so I could go on for a while. So Will, you have to close your ears for a second. I could talk about the time that Mary had a little trip to the police station as a teenager with her sister's ID.
It turns out.
I like to hear Donald's version.
You'll get your chance at it.
Objection. Overruled.
And then, this was just a teaser. I said I could have told that story, but I'm not going to.
And now I don't have to.
You're all going to be on Facebook.
Just give us one more
And then I could have told the story about how the Jehovah's Witness marked our house, because my parents, as we were in sort of near the end of high school, Mary and I often stayed at home on the weekends. Liz was off at university. My parents would go up to the farm for the weekend, so Mary and I would stay home for the weekend in our home. And the Jehovah's Witness figured out that we're these, underprivileged children in a well-off part of town. And the Jehovah's Witness would come on like Saturday morning, and Mary would come with her cigarette. She smoked these. You guys know Mary as a smoker? How many of you know Mary as a smoker?
It was a photo.
It was our bonding moment.
No shit. You'll be hearing about it.
Yeah.
Not me, these two.
Mark is like, here's my junior.
No, we knew her. We're not smokers.
We'll save it for later.
So you had to come up to the door with a ciggy in her mouth. The Jehovah's Witnesses were hoping to convert her.
Yes, because she was abandoned. Well, Mary would kind of leave them on, and she wasn't quite in a state where she could simply close the door and say not interested. So they started coming every week, thinking they were on the road to conversion, but finally we let them down. And I could tell the story about the many pets, the pigs, the budgies.
There's a funny story that Luke told me. He said that whenever the Jehovah's Witnesses came to his grandfather's door on Sunday, because for some reason they always came on Sunday, he'd always say, "I'm sorry, I'm too busy taking my family to Catholic church."
Yeah, that was one of the ways to do it.
No.
And there was the pets. There was the time I bit her. Yeah, sort of when we were kids, I don't know how young I was, must have been about 4 years old. I got completely fed up with her, and I was like, the only way to get her to shut up is to just give her a good shot.
Did it work?
So, I think it did.
Oh.
So,
You're going to be biting Mary now.
it's been 50 wonderful years of surprises, the first half of your century. So, Mary, happy birthday to you.
To Mary.
To Mary.
Yeah, you.
Might as well.
Yeah, please story. Yeah, so far,